Divorce happens. In fact, it happens to almost 50% of first marriages. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Divorce Happens, a podcast to educate, inspire, support, and yes, make you laugh through divorce and beyond so that you can start fresh on the next phase of your journey. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh.
You get divorced. You get divorced.
Getting divorced?
I'm getting a divorce.
You're getting a divorce.
Because she's getting a divorce.
So what if I get divorced?
Hello. Welcome back to Divorce Happens, the show where we support you before, during, and after divorce with education, inspiration, and a little bit of laughter. Because as you know, divorce happens and then you start fresh. This is the last episode in our series on mediation with Allison McFadden. Everything you need to know about mediation, but we're afraid to ask, we're going to call that. And so Allison's been taking us through the journey of mediation. If you go back a few episodes, you can listen to episode 1, which is the overview of what mediation is and isn't. Episode 2, which is how to prep for mediation. Episode 3 is taking you through what it looks like to be in mediation, answering some of those questions that you maybe didn't even think you had. And today, when we finish the series, we're going to talk about everything after mediation, because you don't just walk out of the room into a blank space. So, Allison, what does it look like to kind of be post-mediation?
Yeah. So after that first mediation session, you might be in a couple different scenarios, right? You may have been able to get through all of the different topics that you needed to and reached an agreement, which is great. You might be in a scenario where you've started getting through topics, but you need some more time, and so you're going to have another mediation session. You might be in a place where you feel like we've talked through everything to the extent that we can, and we're just not going to be able to reach an agreement, right? So depending on what place you find yourself in, it's a little bit different. I'm going to start with if you are at a point where you feel like, I don't think we can agree. So one of the good things, or one of the beauty of mediation, is that if you don't reach an agreement, you can always go to court, right? It's not like an either or. You can be in mediation while also being in litigation. In fact, the court will likely, once you file, order you to mediation. So, if you come out of mediation and you, for whatever reason, feel like you need to file and go that route, that's an option. Another option might be to find some additional support, right? Trying to figure out, okay, we weren't able to reach an agreement during this session. It felt like I was just hitting walls. What can I do before the next session to make things go better? That might be working with a divorce coach to come up with a strategy for how you're going to negotiate, how you're going to show up during those mediation sessions. It might be talking to an attorney to talk about, what's realistic? What should I be proposing at mediation so that you can feel confident about what kind of your options are and what would happen if you went to court versus what you're discussing in mediation. You might even want to say, okay, maybe we'll try mediation with attorneys at the next session, right? So you can try different things if in that first session you don't reach an agreement and you feel like you're kind of like hitting your head against a wall. Oftentimes in the first session, we don't discuss or we don't reach an agreement on everything, especially if folks have kids, if they have property. There can be a lot of complicated issues that we need to go through in detail, even if they mostly are on the same page, discussing things like what's the timeline for selling the house? How are you going to choose a realtor? These are things that if you're able to discuss and agree on ahead of time, they can just make the rest of the process a lot smoother. Okay, so taking those things out of the mix, if you've gone to mediation, you've reached an agreement, the good news is you've basically done the hardest part, right? At this point, the mediator is, depending on how the mediator works, they might draft up a memorandum of understanding that details all the terms that were agreed to as part of the mediation. They might draft up a parenting plan. They might draft up a formal marital settlement agreement. Different mediators work different ways. And depending on what your comfort level is or what kind of the complexity of some of these issues are, you may want an attorney to take the agreement that came from a mediator and to draft it into a more formal legal document. There might also be certain court forms or certain things that an attorney has to fill out. Like in certain states, It might be that an attorney has to be the one who drafts a deed or has to be the one who drafts retirement orders. So there might be certain things where you need to take that agreement from mediation and take it to an attorney or to someone else to have additional documents drafted. But ultimately, after that mediation session, there should be a written document that you're able to review, make sure you agree with, talk to an attorney or any other a financial advisor, whoever you need to talk to feel comfortable with signing off on that agreement.
That's super helpful. So what what's like the next steps? Let's say that you do finish, you get the agreement together. What are you supposed to do? Like, what's your homework as the person going through this?
Yeah. So it's really important that you don't take that agreement and just like stick it in a drawer, right? Because it probably has in there a bunch of things that you have to do. You might have to like close bank accounts by a certain date. You might need to transfer money back and forth by certain dates. If there are certain like retirement transfers, then those likely need special paperwork. So there might be certain things in there that you need to do by certain dates. Oftentimes there might be things that so coming up with a checklist can be helpful. Um, and maybe putting things on your calendar. So if you have a parenting plan and like by March 1st every year you have to pick your weeks for summer. I'm putting that on my calendar and I'm putting a reminder 2 weeks before so that I don't miss that date. Things like that, making sure that you have the agreement is going to work practically and that you're on top of it. Like you just went through the hard work and spent the money to get this agreement. Don't just,
Yeah.
like I said, stick it in a drawer. So making sure that you are putting all of those things in some way, some form of organization that you're going to be able to make sure you get things done and that you're going to be on top of it.
Yeah. Do people ever go back to mediation?
One of like the common things or one of the things I always discuss with people is like, how are you going to resolve disagreements in the future? Because they're going to come up, especially if you have young
Yeah.
kids. There's
Yeah.
going to be issues that come up. And so oftentimes it gets written into part of the parenting plan that if they can't agree, there's a process. And sometimes that process includes maybe they go to a family therapist, maybe they come back to mediation. But the likelihood is, again, especially if you have young kids, the idea that this parenting plan is going to just stay the same for the next 10 years, it's just not, it's not practical, right? Your kids grow, circumstances change, people move, they get remarried,
Yep.
all kinds of things happen. And so it's likely that you'll need to revisit some of these issues and having a plan in place for how you're going to do that, which could be returning to mediation, is a great way to try to prevent conflict in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we let you go, this has been incredibly informative. Is there anything that you want to share about mediation that you feel like people still don't really understand?
Yeah. Well, I do want to just add one more thing
Yeah.
in terms of like after with that agreement, right? Just because you reach an agreement in mediation, that doesn't get you divorced. So you do still need to file the paperwork with the court. And what you need to do, it varies state by state. That might be something where you want to have an attorney help you figure out exactly what needs to be filed to try and make sure that it gets done once and gets done right. But so you do still need to take that agreement and file the paperwork with the court for the divorce to actually be finalized. So don't forget that step.
And you do that with a lawyer, or how can you do that?
So you can hire an attorney to do it with you. As a mediator, I can't do that for the
Right.
for folks. What I do though, in Maryland is that there are certain court forms that can be filled out as opposed to an attorney, drafting up the documents. And so I provide folks with those documents as well as the instructions on how to file them with the court so that if they want to do it, a lot of people do it themselves. There's also in a lot of counties, there are self-help programs within the courthouse where you can go and speak to an attorney for maybe 15 or 20 minutes at
Well,
no cost or at a very low cost. And that can be a great way, you fill out the forms yourself, you have an attorney review them. If you're trying to save money, that can be a great way to try and get that review without, having
mm,
to retain an attorney
yeah,
for thousands of dollars.
that's a great tip. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So, is there anything you would like to share before we let you go after this amazing series about mediation?
Just that I think a lot of people have concerns about mediation and whether or not it will work for them. And I always tell people the vast, vast majority of divorces are resolved by agreement. So I know it seems hard, but that's why you go to a mediator, right? It's not just the two of you going around and around in the same arguments. You have a professional there who's helping guide the conversation and helping you reach an agreement.
Yeah. And maybe I would say don't be so afraid of mediation because you're not really alone during it, right? Like you do have the guide, like you said.
Yep. Yep. You have
Yeah.
a guide, and if you want to, you can make it your own experience, bringing in like the support that you need for it to
Yeah.
be successful.
Amazing. This has been an incredible series. Please go back and listen to the first 3 episodes. And this one is all about what to do after. This literally took us through everything you need to know about mediation. If you'd like to get in touch with Allison, she works all over the nation helping people with their mediation. Her links will be in the show notes. And of course, you can reach out to us and we will connect you to her. Allison, big thank you for this. This was a lot of really valuable information that's going to really help, I think, calm a lot of people down and be able to make some really great decisions. So if you have any other questions or would like to work with Allison, please reach out to her. Allison, you are amazing, and we're so
Mhm.
glad you're part of our community. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you, Olivia.
Divorce Happens is produced by Fresh Starts Registry, the only divorce registry platform for everything you need to begin again, including home items, hype team, and everything in between. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh. We're here to support you before, during, and after divorce. Head to freshstartsregistry.com for more info.